Hello dudes and dudesses, and welcome to yet another farm video. Today we're gonna be building a new creeper farm design. Now, I have been building quite a few of these. The rocket factory with built-in sugarcane production. The portal-based one. And even this crazy one in my survival world that's built into an airship. But this is by far the latest. Now let's start by getting the essential out of the way, the important thing, why I have designed this farm. Of course I have designed this farm because I like designing farms, but apart from that, the strength of this farm is that you can build it on the ground, as you can see here. You don't have to go up to the sky or whatever, you can just build it in your world on the ground. And the rates are approximately 8 to 9 stacks of gunpowder per hour UAFK. So with that out of the way, you can build this one layer or you can build it as many layers as you want, and it's a linear progression. So by adding one layer you will add like 8 to 9 stacks of gunpowder to your farm. Now let's go look at it over here because I've lined it out. This is what you need to start with. It's a 23 by 23 block area that you build up with one block, and then you have to somehow spawn proof it to not get risk getting spiders to spawn there. I've used carpets, you can use slabs, whatever. And then I've opted for having hoppers. Now I know some of you will say that's a lot of hoppers, and it is. It's exactly 165 hoppers, I think. Yes, it is. And that's a lot of hoppers right here. But I'm catering to my normal audience, and if you're my normal audience, you probably have built the Iron Dwarf 2 or the Iron Beast 2, and iron is not a problem in your world. You could, however, just build up one block in the same area here, which is 15 hoppers this way, and then 15 this way, so it's 15 by 15, and then have a minecart going underneath. Just to be precise, this is 15 hoppers all pointing that way, and then it's one row of hoppers pointing into the chest that is also 15. So this is in total 16 long. Now why I want to do this is because of these two blocks. If I go in here and stand on this block and I press F3, then you can see over here, right here, that I'm standing at a strange height, 56.87. And this is because you sink down to these blocks. You sink a little bit down into the mud block and the soul sand block. And that means that hoppers can actually pull out things directly from this block. And yes, they are both spawnable. Now, if you want to see how I spread out the hoppers, I will come back to why. You can see that it's 3 in from the outer border and the same in the other side. And then it's 1, 1, 1, 1. So you can actually see that there's 1 row of hoppers, 2 row of hoppers, 2 row of hoppers, 2 row of hoppers, 2 row of hoppers, and 1. So that's the layout of the land. You got this. Now you just take the non-full block of your choice and you start right here on this block, and then you fill in on top of the hoppers like this. You should quickly have something looking like this, and then you go down and you take a solid block and you place it in between and on the outside of these rows of soul sand. And now it's time to bring in the rails, and I use powered rails like this. And the reason is that you could use normal rails and then you would have to bring in some power in the middle. Like this, I can do like that, and it goes to there, and like that, and it goes to there. And if I only use power there, it's much easier to layer the farm up than if you have to have power in the middle. So let me just put in these rails. Now it's time to bring up the walls around this place, and as you can see over there, I've used tinted glass in the sides. You don't have to, you can use any solid block that doesn't let in any light. For this purpose, I will just build up two like this. And now we have like a nice box, I suppose, a very nice box. And then you can see here that if you have an area like this, 4 blocks, then spiders will be able to spawn. So we have to do something to make the spiders not spawn. And what I do is like this. And the reason I do it like this with trapdoors is that on this space right here, even though there's not a full block anymore, creepers can spawn there. So I go every second block like this and just put in a trapdoor where there's 2 in between the rails. Now we have something looking remarkably like a graveyard, and well, I suppose it is, or it's gonna be, but this is what you want to aim for. It has to look something like this. Now you want to fill in this layer right here with a solid block. Again, it has to be a solid block like this, and do this on all the rails. Now, do you remember this bulk super smelter that we designed together a while ago? And do you remember that we used a boat in a minecart? And the reason was that if we do like this, F3B, you can see that the hitbox of the boat actually goes out on either side of the block in the middle, meaning that both of these hoppers were able to suck from the boat. The same principle we're going to use in the creeper farm. I'm going to take a minecart on all of these rails right here, just put it down and it will be going like this. As you can see, you need 5 in total. And then you're going to take a minecart chest and you're going to place it on the rails. And if you place it slightly angled, the minecart should pick it up. You can sometimes encounter this, and then you will have to try one more time. But if you place it slightly angled, it will work. You might have to try this a few times. Eventually you should have something looking like this, and it doesn't matter whether the boats are just, slightly off to one side and they don't run at the same time or anything like that. The important thing is that if you wait to make this in 120, you should use the pink cherry blossom wood, because I think that will give the creepers a much nicer death. Now you may be wondering, how does this farm work? Well, if we put in a creeper, let's say there, you can see he's taken into the boat and he's actually suffocated. And then the boat goes again, like that. Let's try and see it like this. It goes in there. And he's suffocated in the block. He dies. And then the minecart sets off again. Let's just do it one more time like that. He suffocates in the block and dies. And I just got a text. Well, probably the association for not killing creepers. I don't know. But you can see this is how the farm works. Alright, I just got instructions on what to buy for dinner, so I'm back now. But as you can see, this is how it works, and it has the added benefit that if you build this up in layers like that, so you may actually reach the mob cap, then when a mob is picked up in a boat, it no longer counts toward the mob cap. So the instance that the creeper is picked up right there, it doesn't take up any space any longer in the mob cap for new creepers to spawn. Pretty neat, I think. Of course, in one layer farm, it won't make a difference. But if you're on a server, or if you build up a lot of layers, it might come in handy. Now, as you know, creepers are lower than other mobs. So the next thing we need to do is we need to place in trapdoors like this to make sure that only creepers and not skeletons and zombies spawn in the farm. And you can see the first two right here, they start off being locked. You just go through and do it like that. And now you should have something looking like this. And this is also where you will build your next layer up if you build the layer type, which means that right here on this here you would have a new row of hoppers going out. Now you have to be careful. If you build up layers, you will have to bring out the hoppers one more than you do in one layer. The reason is you cannot have an open layer of hoppers, because hoppers are actually not a solid block. They let in light, and if there's light, mobs won't spawn, as you probably know. So if you're building up multiple layers, you will prolong this once out there, and you will have this line basically outside of the farm, so you can actually make sure that no lights get into the farm. Now, trapdoors also unfortunately lets in light, so what we have to do now is we just have to use some kind of solid block like this on these trapdoors right here. And while we do this, I have to clarify. I said that the fact that the mobs in the boats don't count towards the mob cap doesn't really matter on a single layer. Well, it does indeed, because that is actually the reason why we can use such a slow way of killing the mob. Suffocation, normally suffocation, you would risk lowering the rates, because the mobs, the farm would be full of mobs that take a long time to die, but not in this farm, because as I said, again now for the whatever time, as soon as it's picked up by the boat, it no longer counts toward the mob cap, so it doesn't matter how long it takes to suffocate. And now of course we have to spawn proof this, otherwise mobs will just, you know, spawn on top of this, and I just use carpet. But you can use any material, you can use slab, whatever. Let me just carpet this off. Now this is all looking good and nice, and as I told you in the beginning, we're gonna be AFKing up high. So we are using the spawning sphere 128 blocks around the player as mechanics right here. So what we need to do is we need to spawn proof this, and you could do this in many ways. I just chose water because that's pretty simple, like this, in an area around the farm like this, and you just have to use water, as you probably know, on two sides, and then it will fill out itself like this. And now we have to find the AFK spot, and we go into the farm and we choose the middle block, which is that block right there. And we have to go up 115 above that layer right there that is spawnable. So it's 114, 113, 113 blocks in the sky. If you have your scaffolding 64 and you have 49, then you should be good to go. And you just place it like that, as you probably know. And if we now make an experiment, so we take F3 and B, you can see hitboxes are shown. And now you see a white line, and these are creepers getting picked up by the minecarts and suffocate along the way. If you for some reason are unsecure about the height, a good way to see it is at nighttime. You should see, and turn on hitboxes, you should see that the creepers are spawning inside. You should see the hitboxes of them, but you shouldn't see any mobs spawning outside of the perimeter of the farm. Now one final thing, and then the farm is done. As you can see, I've already put this kind of rim around the farm as a bottom slab right here, 3 out at the height of the spawning layer. And this is just something that we learned from Nimbum, that when you have pack spawning, and in Java edition, creepers actually do spawn in packs of 4 sometimes. This will increase the likelihood that you will get pack spawning in the farm. Now, if you build this in a multi-layer farm, you should place your rim at the highest level of spawning, so it should work for the rest of the layers as well. Alright, dudes and dudettes, thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, if you can use the farm in your world, make sure to leave a like and do comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye!